dragon's flame, dispersing it harmlessly to either side of you. So, that's, you know, one death there that I managed to avoid. Now, you are also limited to the amount of items that you can pick up in this room. And for whatever reason, I very obsessively wanted to get into this chest the last time. And that also led to my untimely death, because anything you do will be considered an action and the dragon will breathe fire on you, which isn't necessarily like the last time. The only thing you can do is look around and that won't be considered an action. So, things like, we need the hammer. You drop the hammer in your satchel. The evil bastard. Oh, that was another thing that ended up causing my death also. I tried talking to the dragon, and he breathed fire on me. And then another thing that I attempted to do was pick up this spear and throw it at the dragon. But suffice to say that did not work. So, but it was fun to attempt those tries. I'm going to take the spear. I still haven't found what to use the spear for, but... you barely managed to raise your shield in time to block the dragon's flame. While the shield protects you, it glows red hot. So that's basically it telling you that you only have like one or maybe two more uses for the shield. I think white... Oh, red hot. Okay. So that means that in retrospect, we only have one other item that we can actually pick up. Personally, I ended up grabbing this little skull with the glasses on the last time. But I think... Oh, look at that skull. Oh, it looks like it has seen better days. Alright. I think what I'm gonna do is leave. I feel like if any item has a use in here, it's either gonna be this chest, which currently says that it can be opened, but I feel like eventually I should be able to grab that little ice elemental out there. I just have to figure out how to do that. And then maybe the ice elemental can protect me from the dragon. I don't know. We'll see. But I feel like my shield may only have one or two more uses, and I don't want to waste it. We got the two more obvious items. I'm wearing a helmet, so I didn't see a use for a helmet. You know, the other helmet. Just didn't see any use for it. And then, of course, it says something a little different here on the bottom. It says, yeah, you managed to rush from the room before the dragon could release a blast of fire. And then, of course, your teeth chattering, standing in a cold cellar, hugging yourself a warmth, a creature made of ice, huffily, playfully side of the room. I still haven't figured out how to get him. I'm figuring, like, maybe, you know... I mean, that's another thing. I keep wondering, if I take him, will the spider melt? I don't remember. But now I feel like at least I have a weapon. So yeah, we're gonna go into the last door here. Walk in there. Within the large cavern, you found yourself on the shore of the placid underground lake. You know, if we go back to the save or whatever. I blatantly did not have walk into 122 rooms, or let alone did 80 more... I don't even think I did 80 more actions than, you know, my previous thing that said 40 when I had walked into the other room, so I really don't know what that's about. Now, over here, if we look at the lake, which I was smart enough to do first, you apparently sense that there's something large and ominous below the surface of the water. So I don't think we should actually drink the lake, since that seems to be the only other option. There is also this dude over here, right? Now you have an option to walk to him, which means that you have an option to swim to him. But if you sense something ominous in the lake, I mean, just common sense tells you that that would probably be your ultimate death. And I saved it because I figured I didn't attempt it the last time. Well, no, you know what? I'm going to try and get as few deaths as possible. And being that I eliminated 3 extra deaths, I will die. You know, it's not like you're not going to see me die. The skeleton itself, it's hard to tell from this distance. I can tell quite apparently from this distance. But you think you see a skeleton chained to a rock. Perhaps you need to get a closer look somehow. I am pretty much from this distance can blatantly tell you that there is a skeleton chained to the rock. I can also even see runes up here. So, you know, apparently my guy's a little dirty, but I don't think there's anything that we can really do in this room right now. In this room, there is another elemental, which you'll see in a second. A magnificent waterfall cascades from the mouth of an ancient stone statue, painstakingly carved into the cavern wall. Below it, an undulating mass of water hovers playfully above the river. Now, once again, this is the same thing. I mean, your best left hook only results in embarrassment as the entity easily dances out of the way. It's a water elemental. If I look at it, it'll tell you that. Yeah. Hovering before you is an entity made entirely of water and mist. The liquid elemental continuously forms and reforms in a hypnotic way. I haven't figured out what to do in this room. Now there's a couple of things. There's this marking that looks like dwarven craftsmanship stamp. I did, you'll see later on, but I did see a similar marking in a different room. Now this says go to the waterfall, but when you try to walk into it, apparently the waterfall won't let you. You can drink the waterfall. Apparently it's fresh, so you don't have to worry about that. And when you look at the waterfall, it just says a tall waterfall cascades down from the mouth of a statue carved in the cavern wall. Same thing with the water. You can look at the water, and it just says a river runs swiftly. I'm not gonna go there. A river runs swiftly to your right and through a large opening in the cave wall. So you know that there's a large opening in the friggin' cave wall. So I don't know. I couldn't figure out how to do any of it. It's not like I can use the waterfall. It won't let me walk anywhere. Generally, looking at the cavern just says the same nonsense over and over again. I've tried speaking. I've introduced myself to the elemental. It kind of just squirts me with water. Okay. Of course, we can't take the water elemental. I apparently got myself drenched. It would have been fun if there was like some sort of, I don't know, thing to go along with it. At the end of my last stream playthrough, whatever you want to call it, let's play. Well, the recording that got erased. Oh, right. So, one thing that I know is that now I can go in here. You force yourself through the narrow opening and into the darkness beyond. A figure moves within. Oh, you can see him now. There he is. Within the opening at the back of the grotto, you hear an unmistakable twang of a longbow followed by the whistle of an arrow. You raise your shield at the last possible moment. The arrow bounces off the shield and lands unharmed on the ground at your feet. Oh, I think it actually literally does land unharmed at the ground of your feet. Oh, I didn't even notice that the last time. I can take an arrow. Okay. I really don't know any functional use for any of the bones or skulls or apparent torso. Oh, I can't use the torso anyway. Yeah, so imitating your favorite nursery rhyme, you jump back and forth over the campfire several times. I'm not ashamed to say this place is mighty scary. In a mock whisper, so does that mean he doesn't really think this place is scary? I don't know. Another thing that I know is that if we try and walk where the guy is, apparently he will bash you on the skull and you will face an unfortunate and untimely death. So, in this particular case, what we can do is walk to this bottom passageway. And this is where we get to the two bridges. The famous two bridges that caused me such distress in the last Shadowgate. Because apparently, I was never able to figure out how to cross this bridge. I don't really know what to do to cross the bridge. Yeah, so that's where that is. You stand at the edge of a lava-filled chasm. Impossible as it seems, the faint, terrified screams of some unfortunate soul echo within its depths. We are getting kind of close now to where I was the last time. I had looked at all these glyphs before, or glyphs, keystones. The carving on this keystone is of a circle within a shield outline. Strange writings cover the stone. You think you recognize the name Majal among the hard-to-decipher language. Now, if I remember correctly, in our backpack, in our archive, we had some right here. It says here when Majal's tail lights the northern skies and alignments are in apogee. Wah wah. And something about an all-seeing eye. Right. So that's the only place that I've actually seen Majal, so it would make sense that it kind of does that. And then of course, talking about a tail, I'm kind of wondering if maybe it's the dragon, like maybe, you know, or something. But oh yeah. You attempt to lift the large stone, but it proves too heavy. Does this one have a lift back there? Yeah. And when we look at this one, it just says the half-buried carved stone appears to be a keystone. So it's basically saying it's another one of these things. When we look at this rickety shite bridge, it says the rickety bridge is held together with nothing but frayed rope and rotten wood planks. As if in warning, a mounted skull stands guard in front of it. Now, I had thought it was a lever, but it doesn't... Oh, does it? Oh, no, it doesn't. It doesn't give you an option to just pick that, so I'm guessing it is not a lever. This is just some burning brazier. The metal legs have been crafted from a series of hooks haphazardly welded together. So, I mean, I guess it's supposed to be a hint for something. You can punch the metal brazier, and all you do is you get bruised and burned knuckles. Which sucks for you. Alright. So we can cross the stone bridge, which I'm doing now. And there's a Wraith in this room. A dense fog greets you as the stone passage opens into a small chamber. The temperature plummets as a creature materializes in front of you. It flinches from the light of your torch. Now, this did not take a brain surgeon to figure out what she needed to do. It's a very cool looking Wraith. But this one line here, it flinches from the light of your torch. And then me having, of course, a vague memory and or flashback of the original Shadowgate. Now, this is a small, yet, or this is a slight difference between the original Wraith scene in the original Shadowgate and this Wraith scene. is that you actually had to use a different torch that you found. And I think you probably found it in the coffin room, but I'm not really sure. Like, you could take one of those torches, but, like, it was more of like a specialty torch. And you would actually literally throw that torch, because using your own torch in the original Shadowgate, if I remember correctly, makes the room go dark and then you would die anyway. But in this game, or in this version of Shadowgate, you can actually just use the lit torch on the Wraith, and the Wraith, like, instantly dies. With a cry, you swing the lit torch at the Wraith. The ethereal being is instantly enveloped in a bright flash of flame, its pitiful moan resonating in your head. And for our troubles, we get 2 more torches. At this particular point, I'm pretty sure we're making good time. And you can actually pick up this cloak. Basically, it says the fabric of this cloak has a wispy, almost ethereal feel to it. And you can just go and put it on, and it puts it on your little character up here. I don't know if you noticed that. Like the same thing with the shield and that weird-ass oversized helmet that apparently is making me blind. So this rune over here. The rune is firmly attached to the wall, glowing with power. I've technically tried, if I remember, like, everything I possibly could. Because I think when I looked at the spare, it says... your mind glimpses some spectral person at the edge of your consciousness. Oh, maybe not. Maybe you find it in this room. There was also another room that went off on the side in the original Shadowgate, I'm pretty sure. But this one seems to... Maybe I think this map only shows you what you've opened up. See, because there was blatantly 2 paths in the footbridges, but that one isn't opened here. So the map only does open up where you go. Now it also tells you specific little things. I recognized this the last time I was playing, so I'm just gonna go over it briefly. Like, we had talked about that keystone, so now the keystone is kind of carved as an image over here. And I think these are supposed to be kind of like specialty items. Like over here, it kept talking about a breeze. Now, at first I kind of knocked it off because we ended up punching a hole in the wall over here. And then that ended up, you know, I guess not being the breeze, because these runes are directly affiliated with this kind of portion of the back wall. So there's obviously another hidden room in this room that we can eventually figure out how to open. You know, so that was just a couple of, like, small little things that I had noticed. Oh yeah, and then the waterfall one over here where it's got this symbol. It's a cool looking symbol. I don't know. It's like an extra yin yang and yang. But anyhow, that was kind of just one little thing. Do we even have anything opened up? No, we just have caves. Alright. So, yeah, I haven't figured out how exactly to open this. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. This glyph doesn't even open this door, which kind of made it even more confusing. So what I think it does, which you'll notice when we get to the bottom here. Alright, here we are. So, what I think it does is maybe it removes the water from this room. Let's see. We carefully unroll the scroll. We look at the scroll. Oh, yeah. As you read the scroll, one particular word stands out from the rest. Entras. In your mind's eye, you see a glyph glowing with power. As you write down the strange marking in your spellbook, the scroll crumbles in your hands. You have learned a new spell. And there was also this bottle here. Now, this bottle is empty, so it's not actually cracked. So we can take the empty bottle. And then over here is funny because this is another thing that was slightly different than the original Shadowgate. I keep saying slightly. There are so far a lot of key differences. I have played the beginning portion of the original Shadowgate more times than I can count. And the Epor, right, is actually rope backwards. And in the original Shadowgate, it actually lifted a rope from the bottom up to a hole in the ceiling. In this Shadowgate, I have no idea what it's supposed to do. So, technically, what you were supposed to do was say Epor, right? So you speak the word written on the wall in the empty room, Epor, you say this with confidence, you hope this was going to be easy, but it's not. So obviously this is something that they ended up changing, and I'm starting to think that maybe it's sort of like an homage to the original Shadowgate. Technically, you speak the word written on the wall, Epor, you say this with confidence, you were hoping this was going to be easy, but it's not. Technically, you were only supposed to speak it twice. It might have been three. It was either 2 or 3 times. So if you said this word 2 or 3 times in the original Shadowgate, that was the thing. Also, we can't look at any of the items that are on the ground, apparently, because I guess they're underwater, so... But if you notice, there's that same symbol down here that was in the other room. This was the hatch, and if we unlock it and go up, this actually ends up taking us back to the mirror room. You jump and manage to find a handhold within the hatchway. After a frantic moment or two, you manage to pull yourself through this room. And then it says, oh, this, I don't even remember this saying this. This room reminds you of the Elven Funhouse at King Otto's Fair. I remember that sentence. But then it says, you remember talking to your sister, hoping to lose her in the reflective maze. So he was a dick brother, I guess. Asshole. So, yeah, that was that. You carefully lower yourself through the opening in the floor. You wade chest high in sewer water, wondering just how you got roped into this adventure. You know, it's kind of roped Epor. Like, you see what I mean? Like, I think that this doesn't mean anything, but I don't know. You know, so I'm not gonna say that it is. If we look at the spell we just got, the Entraz, it says the meaning of the spell glyph is clear. Entraz, you whisper as the way seems to open in front of you, a metallic screech echoing in the recesses of your minds. So obviously, this summons something, and this opens something. If we look at our cloak here, it just says the fabric of this cloak has a wispy, almost ethereal feel. You know you are wearing it, but you cannot feel its weight on your shoulders. Now, of course, if this is the first time you're seeing this game, you probably thought the same thing I did. Which we're gonna go back a couple of places. I mean, I just can't believe that there's no entrance to go to the side, but apparently there isn't. So I thought now that I was wearing the cloak that maybe I could cross this bridge, and maybe he just made it easy because it... I mean, I still don't know how to cross the bridge in the other one, because I had tried this already. If I walk across there, even with the cloak on, I end up crashing the bridge, and the bridge falls into the lava pit, and I meet a sudden and untimely death. So, I'm going to go back, because there's one more thing that I've done. This guy, knowing I have a shield, is still trying to shoot me. Like, he don't learn. He don't learn. Oh, my lord. Oh, that was another thing. Oh, you so missed out. I actually had this crazy jump scare when the Banshee came out at me, because I was in the, like, up in my face, like, reading. And, like, all of a sudden, the Banshee jumped out, and oh my god. I just completely and totally flipped shit, but... that one didn't get me too bad. That's sad, because I did, you know, I tried to film it. It didn't work. A damp, musty breeze wafts out from behind an altar set within the stone alcove. You note that the long hallway continues further into the mountain. Now you see how everything gets all fuzzy all of a sudden. The room begins to spin and you feel vertigo set in. An apparition appears before your eyes and you hear the echo of the banshees scream in your head. Alright, so here's the little runes I was talking about. But you can't really just look at the runes, you know? Strange markings and glyphs line the stone pillar that enshrouds the statue, one that depicts a hooded figure with a darkened visage. Visage. There we go. So, if I end up using the Entraz spell, which is kind of what I was hoping it would do, on this, it says you visualize the glyph in your mind and focus your will. When the pressure builds to an uncomfortable level, you release with a spectacular word. The power manifests in a spectacular fashion, but does little else. As quickly as it came upon you, the vertigo recedes, so now the room is clear again. And your vision clears. You begin to wonder what the banshee might have done to you. So, another thing that I'm kind of assuming is that the fuzziness or spells of vertigo or whatever probably get worse and worse and worse as time goes on. So it kind of puts a little lit fire under your ass to get shit done. A cold mist swirls about your feet, casting a surreal pall over this stone-arched antechamber. So, this I actually figured out. I was rather disappointed that this wasn't actually in the map, but I only just noticed it now. But we can cast Entraz. Right, Entraz, yes. On the hatch. Concentrate. After a moment, to release the spell. Annoying headache. Nothing else resulted from your spellcasting. Boy, you'd better be paying attention to that failing torch you're holding. If I might give you some advice, make sure you have enough unlit ones to light before it goes out. I got plenty of torches. I don't want to hear none of that shit. I got like 12 or something. We're making good time. We only used one torch. Oh, wait. Now I know what it is. I was almost lost for a minute there. Yes. So that skull that we found earlier, this one, we actually use the skull and we put him here. See? The skull snaps out of your hand and into the slot on the archway. There is a brief glow and a thrum of power fills the air. Something just beyond the door seems to have come alive. So now the spell will work, I think. It should. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, please hit like, subscribe. Subscribe's there. Subscribe. Wherever. Right there, subscribe. You can see the next video there. See? Right there. The next video. Follow up to this one. Until next time, see you on the flip side. Bye!